Imagine a place like where winter owns more than half the year. Your nearest neighbor, 100 miles of frozen sea away. This isn't just a place, it's a way of life. A world painted in endless shades of white and blue. Our journey begins high above, a view few will ever witness firsthand. Below us, a vast, pristine ice cap stretches to the horizon, an infinite wilderness of frozen water. It appears untouched, a relic from a primordial age. The sheer scale is difficult to comprehend, a continent-sized glacier shaping the land and the souls of the people who live in its shadow. This is the Greenland ice sheet, a silent, powerful force dictating the rhythm of existence. As we drift towards the coast, a small cluster of brightly colored buildings emerges, clinging to a rocky coastline. A tiny, isolated settlement, almost impossibly fragile, a splash of defiant life against the canvas of ice and ocean. This is our destination, one of many such outposts scattered across the world's largest island. Here, the definition of survival is redrawn with every sunrise and every blizzard. In this crucible of extremes, residents have forged a vibrant, enduring culture, a testament to human resilience. It is a land of profound contrasts, of stunning beauty and unforgiving harshness. The polar night is a time of absolute silence, broken only by the crack of shifting ice, or the howl of the wind, When summer returns, the sun bathes the land in 24-hour light, triggering a season of frantic activity and renewal. Living here demands an instinctual understanding of nature, reading the subtle signs in the ice, knowing the habits of the animals, and respecting the immense power of the weather. It is a relationship not of conquest, but of delicate, hard-won harmony. Our expedition ventures far beyond the familiar maps, off the tourist trails. We seek to understand what it truly takes to thrive in a place sculpted by ice and isolation. We will journey to these remote settlements, not as observers, but as listeners. We want to hear the untold stories of ancient traditions, of communal survival, and of warm lives lived in the cold. Join us on this journey into the heart of the cold. To understand life in these communities, we must first understand their location on our planet. The Arctic Circle is an invisible line of latitude that rings the top of the globe at approximately 66.5 degrees north. It marks the boundary of the Arctic, a region defined by its extreme conditions. Crossing this line means entering a world where the familiar rules of day and night no longer apply. For at least one day a year, the sun never sets in the summer, creating the phenomenon of the polar day. And for at least one day in winter, it never rises, plunging the landscape into the long, dark polar night. For the settlements we will visit, this period of darkness can last for months. In Greenland, the Arctic Circle slices across the island just north of its second largest town, Sisimiut. Everything above this line is subject to the full force of the Arctic's might. The climate is relentless, with winter temperatures that can plummet to unimaginable lows, and winds that can whip across the ice with ferocious power. The ocean, the lifeblood of many communities, freezes solid for much of the year, transforming from a liquid highway into an impassable barrier, or a new, solid one for travel by dog sled. This environment is not simply challenging, it is actively hostile to unprepared life. It demands constant vigilance and profound adaptation from all who dwell here. The landscape itself is a product of these extremes. Towering icebergs, carved from ancient glaciers, drifting silently through deep fjords. The tundra, frozen for most of the year. It bursts into a brief, fragile bloom of life during the short summer. The coastline is a jagged, intricate maze of rock and ice, shaped by millennia of glacial pressure. It is a place of raw, elemental power, where the forces of nature are on full and constant display. This geography dictates everything, where people can build their homes, how they can travel, and from where they can draw their sustenance. It is a world where geography is not just a backdrop, but an active participant in the story of life. Yet, for the Inuit people of Greenland, this is not a desolate wasteland, but a homeland rich with resources and meaning. For thousands of years, they have developed an intricate knowledge of this environment, a knowledge passed down through generations. They understand the cycles of the sea ice, the migratory patterns of the seals, the migratory patterns of the whales, and the ways of the polar bear. This is not a line on a map to them, but the heart of their world. The extreme conditions are not obstacles to be overcome, but a set of rules to live by, rules that have shaped their culture, their spirituality, and their very identity. This brings us to the central question of our journey, the question that drives our entire expedition. In a place where winter rules for most of the year, where darkness can last for months on end, and where isolation is a fundamental fact of life, how do people not only survive but truly thrive? It is one thing to endure hardship, to simply hold on until conditions improve. It is another thing entirely to build a vibrant community, to raise families, to celebrate, and to maintain a rich cultural heritage. This is the mystery we have come here to explore. The answer is not a simple one. It is a complex tapestry woven from threads of ingenuity, resilience, and deep tradition. We will see how ancient knowledge is applied with modern tools, creating a unique blend of old and new. For example, a hunter might use a GPS to navigate, but their understanding of the weather and the ice comes from wisdom passed down from their ancestors. This synthesis is key to their success. They have not abandoned the old ways, nor have they rejected the new. Instead, they have skillfully integrated them, taking what is useful from both worlds to forge a path forward in their changing environment. Furthermore, we will investigate how traditions are kept alive. In a world increasingly dominated by globalized culture, how do these remote communities preserve their language, their stories, their music, and their unique worldview? We will find that community is the bedrock of this preservation. It is in the shared hunt, the communal meal, the stories told during the long polar night, and the intricate crafts made by hand that culture is lived and transmitted. It is not something kept in a museum, but a living, breathing part of daily existence. The survival of the individual is inextricably linked to the strength and health of the community as a whole. Our expedition aims to look beyond the statistics of hardship and the dramatic visuals of the ice. We want to understand the human element, the spirit that allows life to flourish here. What are the sources of joy and meaning in a place with so few material distractions? How do families cope with the immense psychological pressures of isolation and darkness? By spending time with the people of these settlements, we hope to uncover the quiet determination, the deep connection to nature, and the powerful social bonds that make life above the Arctic Circle not just possible, but profoundly rewarding. To best tell these complex and interwoven stories, we have structured our journey in a unique way. Rather than simply hopping from one location to another, which could feel disjointed, we will group our experiences thematically. This approach will allow us to draw deeper connections and build a more comprehensive picture of life in the Arctic. Our expedition will be guided by the core pillars of existence in this region: the relationship with the sea, the ways of the land, and the negotiation between tradition and modernity. This thematic structure will be the narrative compass for our documentary. Our journey will require a variety of transportation methods. We will travel aboard sturdy expedition vessels, capable of navigating the ice-choked fjords that serve as the main highways between coastal settlements. These boats will be our lifeline, allowing us access to communities that are unreachable by road. Once on land, we will rely on smaller, more agile forms of transport. In some areas, this will mean joining a hunter on his dog sled, a timeless mode of travel perfectly adapted to the frozen sea. In others, we will use snowmobiles, a modern tool that has revolutionized travel and hunting in the north. Our first major theme will focus on the coastal villages where life is inextricably tied to the sea. We will explore the rhythms of fishing and seal hunting dictated by the formation and breakup of the sea ice. We will learn about the craftsmanship of boat building and the crucial techniques of food preservation that allow communities to survive the long winter. Next, we will move our focus inland, exploring the theme of resilience on the land. Here, we will follow hunters in pursuit of caribou and learn about the nomadic traditions that allowed their ancestors to thrive in the vast interior, a knowledge that remains vital today. Finally, our expedition will explore the dynamic tension between ice and modernity. We will investigate how technology, from satellite internet to advanced navigational aids, is changing life in these isolated outposts. We will speak with the younger generation who are balancing the deep respect for their heritage with aspirations for a modern life. This thematic route will guide our narrative, allowing us to weave together stories from different locations to create a rich and detailed portrait of a people and a place that are both timeless and in the midst of profound change. Our journey begins now. Our exploration of life at the edge begins where the Great Greenland ice sheet meets the sea. Colossal glaciers carve deep winding channels, the majestic fjords. These sheltered waterways are the lifeblood of coastal communities. They are highways, they are larders, they are the very heart of their world. Settlements nestle in protected coves, brightly painted houses against grey rock and blue-white ice. This is where a sea-based story unfolds, dictated by the tides, by the ice, by the deep, cold waters. Life here is oriented entirely toward the water. From every window, the sea is a constant presence. Its mood shifts with the weather and the season. The sea is immense bounty and profound danger. People here possess an inherited understanding of its character. They read the subtle changes on the surface. They interpret the color of the water. They anticipate the movement of the ice. That knowledge is part of their cultural identity. They are people of the sea, shaped by its embrace. The fjord shelters them from open ocean winds, creating a micro-environment where life flourishes. Seals, walrus, a variety of fish. In summer, narwhals may venture into the fjords. Beluga whales sometimes appear in a major event. The relationship is one of reciprocity. They take what they need with respect for the balance. Their future depends on the fjord's health. The connection is visible everywhere. Small fishing boats moor in the harbour. Racks for drying fish and seal meat stand beside houses. Children play on the shoreline, learning from elders. To understand these communities, one must first understand the fjord, a living, breathing entity that nurtures, challenges, and defines them. In the Arctic, time isn't measured by our usual calendars. It's all about what the ice does. The ice forming and then breaking apart, which they call siku in Greenland, is like a big seasonal clock. It tells everyone when they can travel, when they can hunt, and when they can fish. The whole year is planned around this cycle of freezing and melting. It changes the land and what people can do. For the towns by the coast, knowing about these changes and being ready for them is super important for staying alive. They learn this by watching, they learn this by trying things, and they pass that knowledge down. Winter doesn't start with the first snow, it starts when the sea begins to freeze. First, a thin, clear layer of ice called sikuliak shows up in the calmest parts of the water. Slowly it gets thicker and bigger, spreading out until the whole waterway is completely frozen. The watery paths of summer become a flat, white plain. Boats are pulled onto land because they can't be used until the ice melts. Everything gets quiet and a new part of life begins. When the sea ice is strong and stable, it's not the end, but a new beginning. It opens up new places and new chances for hunting. When the ice breaks up in spring, that's just as big a deal. It starts with cracks, or nagutit, showing up on the frozen surface. These cracks get bigger as it gets warmer and the tides get stronger. The sound of the ice breaking is a deep rumbling noise that echoes through the water. It sounds like freedom and new beginnings. Big pieces of ice break off and start to float away. They move in ways you can't predict, and it can be dangerous. This is a time of change, a time to be careful. Traveling is hard because the ice is too weak for sleds but too thick for boats. The community watches and waits, looking forward to the ice going away. Once the water is clear enough for boats, you can feel the energy come back to the village. The boats are put in the water, and the season for hunting and fishing in open water starts quickly. This time of 24-hour daylight is a race against the clock. Everyone works hard to get and store as much food as possible before the ice comes back again. The ice's seasonal clock creates two different worlds, a white, solid world in winter and a blue, watery world in summer. The Greenlandic people are amazing at handling both of these worlds. It shows how strong they are and how deeply connected they are to their home. The small boat is perhaps the most essential tool for life in a coastal settlement. During the ice-free months, it is the key to sustenance, a vessel that allows hunters to venture out onto the water in search of marine mammals and fish. These are not recreational craft. They are purpose-built workhorses, designed for stability, designed for efficiency, and designed for stealth in the cold Arctic waters. Every hunter has an intimate relationship with his boat, knowing its every sound and movement. It is an extension of himself, a trusted partner in the vital and often dangerous work of providing for his family and his community. The boat represents freedom, mobility, and the promise of a successful hunt. Traditionally, the primary hunting vessel was the kayak, or kajak, a masterpiece of Inuit engineering. It was a sleek, skin-on-frame craft, custom-built to the precise measurements of its owner. Its low profile and silent glide made it an incredibly effective tool for approaching seals undetected. The hunter and his kajak moved as one, a seamless union of human skill and brilliant design. While modern materials have largely replaced skin and bone, the fundamental principles of the kajak, its stealth, speed, and seaworthiness, continue to influence the design of the small motorized boats that are commonly used today for hunting and fishing. Today's hunting boats are typically small, open-hulled vessels powered by outboard motors. They are rugged and practical, able to withstand the bumps and scrapes from floating ice. Though the power source has changed, the skill required to operate them remains immense. A hunter must be a masterful navigator, able to read the complex currents and tides of the fjord. He must also be a keen observer, constantly scanning the water for the subtle flick of a seal's head or the distant puff of a whale's blow. The boat allows him to cover vast distances, but it is his knowledge and senses that lead him to his quarry. The boat is more than just a hunting platform. It is a multi-purpose vehicle essential for daily life. It is used to travel to neighboring settlements, to visit family camps along the coast, and to transport goods and supplies. In a land with no roads, the sea is the only connection to the outside world, and the boat is the key that unlocks it. From the traditional kajak to the modern outboard skiff, the hunter's vessel is a powerful symbol of the ingenuity and adaptability of the Greenlandic people. It is a tool that has enabled them to harvest the riches of the sea and sustain their unique way of life for centuries. Of all the animals in the Arctic, none is more important to the coastal Inuit than the seal. For thousands of years, this single animal has provided the cornerstones of survival: food, fuel, and clothing. The relationship between the hunter and the seal is one of deep respect and profound interdependence. The seal is not seen merely as a resource to be exploited, but as a fellow inhabitant of the Arctic world, a creature whose life sustains human life. This connection is woven into the fabric of the culture, present in stories, rituals, and the everyday practices of the community. The seal hunt is not just a quest for food, it is a cultural institution. Every part of the seal is used, a practice born of necessity and deep-seated respect. The meat, rich in fat and protein, is a vital source of nutrition, providing the energy needed to endure the extreme cold. The blubber, when rendered, becomes oil for lamps, providing light and heat through the long, dark months of the polar night. The skin, strong and waterproof, is transformed into clothing. Boots, or kamiks and mittens made from seal skin, are exceptionally warm and durable. There are several species of seal in Greenlandic waters, and the methods for hunting them vary with the season and the species. In the summer, hunters pursue them in open water from their boats, a practice requiring immense patience and a steady aim. In the winter, the hunt transforms. Hunters travel by dog sled onto the frozen sea ice, searching for the seal's breathing holes. A seal must maintain these small openings in the ice to survive, and hunters will wait silently for hours, harpoon in hand, for a seal to surface for air. This method, known as moloch, is a testament to the hunter's endurance and his deep understanding of animal behavior. The sharing of the seal is a fundamental social custom that reinforces community bonds. When a hunter returns with a catch, the meat is distributed among relatives and neighbors, ensuring that everyone has food, especially elders or families whose own hunts were unsuccessful. This system of sharing is not charity. It is a deeply ingrained social contract, a form of collective insurance that guarantees the survival of the group. The seal, therefore, is more than just an animal. It is the pillar that supports the entire social and economic structure of the coastal village, a gift from the sea that sustains both body and spirit. Summer in the Arctic is a brief and glorious affair. After the long, dark winter, the return of the sun, which eventually stays above the horizon for 24 hours a day, brings an explosion of life and activity. For the coastal villages, this is a season of relentless work, driven by the knowledge that winter is never far away. A typical summer day begins early, not that the sky gives any clue to the hour. The perpetual daylight blurs the normal cycle of sleep and wakefulness. People work when work needs to be done and rest when they are tired, their schedules dictated by the tides and the hunt, not the clock. The fjord, now free of ice, is a hive of activity. Hunters depart in their small boats at all hours, taking advantage of calm conditions whenever they arise. Their goal is to secure seals, fish, narwhal, and beluga whale. The sounds of outboard motors echo across the water, a constant reminder of the urgent quest for provisions. Onshore, the rest of the community is equally busy. Women and older children can be seen on the shore, cleaning and filleting the day's catch of Arctic char and cod, preparing it for drying or freezing. The entire village functions as a single, coordinated unit. This is also a time of foraging and gathering. While the landscape may appear barren, the short summer brings forth a surprising bounty from the land. Women and children spread out across the tundra near the village, collecting berries, such as crowberries and blueberries. They also gather wild sorrel and other edible plants. These forage foods provide a vital supplement to the meat-heavy diet, and a fresh taste after a long winter of preserved foods. Every available resource is utilized, a testament to the community's deep ecological knowledge. Despite the intense labor, summer is also a time of great joy and social connection. The perpetual light seems to infuse everyone with energy. Children play outside late into the night, their laughter carrying on the still air. Families gather for outdoor meals, sharing fresh food and stories. It is a time for visiting relatives in nearby camps and for strengthening the social bonds that will be so crucial during the isolation of the coming winter. The season of light is a race against time, but it is a race filled with the warmth of the sun and the revitalizing spirit of community. In an environment where the food supply is seasonal and unpredictable, the ability to preserve food is not just a skill, it is the key to long-term survival. The bounty of the short Arctic summer must be made to last through the long, dark, and frozen winter. For centuries, Greenlandic communities have perfected methods of food preservation that rely on the natural elements of their environment: the sun, the wind, and the cold. These traditional techniques are still practiced today, perfectly suited to the climate and resources. Securing the winter larder is the most critical task of the summer and autumn months. Drying, is one of the primary methods of preservation. Fishermen fillet fish like Arctic char and cod and hang them on large wooden racks called panarlaivik. The constant, dry Arctic wind and the low summer sun slowly dehydrate the fish, preserving it naturally. Seal meat is cut into thin strips and dried the same way. This dried meat and fish, niku, are lightweight, nutrient-dense, and can be stored for months, supplying protein through the winter. Fermentation is another ancient technique used to make kiviak. Small seabirds like auks are stuffed into a seal's skin. The skin is sewn shut, sealed with blubber to be airtight, and buried under rocks for months. The buried birds ferment, creating a powerful, pungent delicacy often eaten during winter celebrations. This preserves the birds and makes their nutrients more accessible, supplying vitamins during the polar night. The cold itself is the most effective preservative. Before electric freezers, meat was stored in natural caches, buried deep in permafrost or placed in stone cellars where the ground stays below freezing year-round. Today, many households use chest freezers. However, the principle remains the same. The summer's harvest, seal, whale, caribou, fish and birds, is butchered and frozen, creating a well-stocked larder. This cache of frozen food is a family's wealth and security against the coming winter. When the sun disappears below the horizon for the last time in autumn, the world is transformed. The polar night, a period of more than 2 months of continuous darkness in the far north, descends upon the coastal villages. This is a time of profound quiet and introspection. The frantic energy of the summer gives way to a slower, more deliberate pace of life. Far from being a time of inactivity, the polar night is a crucial period for community, culture, and rest. Life moves indoors, and the warm glow from the houses stands in defiance of the deep, star-filled darkness outside. A typical day during the polar night is governed by an internal rhythm. With no sun to mark the time, the day is structured around meals, chores, and social visits. The morning, though dark as midnight, begins with the essential task of checking the weather and the ice. Inside, the home becomes the center of the universe. It is a time for repairing hunting gear, mending clothing, and working on intricate handicrafts. Women might spend hours sewing with sealskin, creating beautiful and highly functional garments, while men might carve tools or figurines from bone or soapstone, turning raw materials into objects of utility and art. This is the season of storytelling. With the outdoor work greatly reduced, the long hours of darkness are filled with social interaction. Families and neighbors gather in each other's homes to drink coffee, play cards, and share stories. Elders, the keepers of the community's history, recount the old legends of spirits, great hunters, and the creation of the world. These stories are more than entertainment. They are a vital means of transmitting cultural values, historical knowledge, and survival wisdom to the younger generations. The polar night is the library of the community, and its currency is the spoken word. The darkness is not absolute. The moon and the stars, reflected on the white snow and ice, cast an ethereal and often surprisingly bright glow over the landscape. On clear nights, the aurora borealis, the northern lights, dance across the sky in shimmering curtains of green, pink, and violet. This celestial display is a source of wonder and a powerful part of the local cosmology. Life during the polar night requires a different kind of strength, not the physical endurance of the summer hunt, but a psychological resilience. It is a time that fosters deep community bonds and a rich inner life, proving that warmth and light can be found even in the heart of the Arctic winter. Leaving the dramatic fjords and the immediate edge of the sea behind, our expedition now moves inland. We venture away from the world defined solely by marine life and into the vast rolling expanse of the Arctic tundra. This is a different realm: low, hardy vegetation, ancient rock, profound silence, small hamlets, seasonal hunting camps. A different kind of resilience is practiced, life oriented toward the land and the animals that roam it. Skills, knowledge, traditions. The journey itself is a transition. The rhythmic sound of water lapping against a boat hull is replaced by the crunch of boots on frozen ground or the hum of a snowmobile over endless white. The landscape opens up, horizons stretching into infinity. While the coast is a world of vertical cliffs and deep channels, the inland is a world of horizontal vastness. The communities here are smaller, often just a handful of families, their connection to the land even more direct and all-encompassing. Their survival depends on a deep, almost mystical understanding of the subtle signs and seasons of the tundra, a world that can appear empty to the untrained eye but is rich with life. This part of our journey explores the heart of inland resilience. We will learn how people thrive in a place where the sea's bounty is a distant memory, replaced by the challenge of tracking terrestrial animals across immense distances. Here, the hunt for caribou becomes the central pillar of existence, much as the seal hunt is for the coastal villages. We will discover the importance of mobility, the genius of traditional clothing and shelter designed for extreme cold, and the communal structures that ensure no one is left to face the harshness of the environment alone. It is a story of profound self-sufficiency and deep connection to the earth. The people of the inland carry a different kind of knowledge passed down through generations of terrestrial hunters. They are masters of navigation in a featureless landscape, experts in reading the weather from the clouds and the wind, and keepers of stories that speak of the great land animals and the spirits of the interior. As we shift our focus from the coast to the tundra, we encounter a different facet of the Greenlandic spirit, one defined by the patience of the long-distance tracker, the endurance of the nomadic traveler, and an unbreakable bond with the sprawling, silent land they call home. In the inland regions of Greenland, the caribou, or tutu locally, is the single most important animal for survival. A magnificent subspecies of reindeer, the great provider of the tundra. Its migratory journeys have shaped inland peoples for millennia. The caribou hunt is more than food. It is a cultural event, a test of skill and endurance, and the main way families stock food for deep winter. Herd health equals community well-being. The hunt is strategic and demanding. Tracking caribou means covering immense distances on foot or with snowmobiles in winter. Hunters need encyclopedic terrain knowledge, valleys, ridges, and river crossings. They must be masters of stealth and patience. Success often needs a long, careful stalk, using land contours for cover, and constant attention to wind direction. Every part of the caribou is used. The meat is lean, prized protein. A single large male can feed a family, eaten fresh, dried into jerky, or frozen. The hide insulates, used for warm winter clothing, sleeping pads, and blankets. Antlers and bones are carved into tools. Knife handles, parts for a dog sled. The sinew becomes strong thread for sewing. So the caribou provides food, clothing, shelter, and tools. Hunting is social. Groups hunt together. It reinforces bonds and teaches younger hunters from elders. They learn tracking, shooting, and ethical principles, take only what is needed, ensure a clean kill, and show respect for the animal. The pursuit of the caribou is a cornerstone of inland culture, a tradition that nourishes the body and strengthens the soul. The life of an inland hunter is defined by movement. The animals they depend on, particularly the caribou, follow ancient migratory routes in search of seasonal grazing. To survive, the people had to be mobile as well, following the herds and moving to different locations to take advantage of various resources as they became available throughout the year. This nomadic heartbeat is a fundamental aspect of inland culture. While permanent settlements have become more common, the tradition of establishing seasonal hunting camps remains a vital part of life, allowing families to reconnect with the land and secure the provisions needed for the year. As summer transitions into autumn, families will often leave their main village and travel deep into the interior to set up a hunting camp. These camps are strategically located in areas known for caribou migration or good fishing. The journey itself is a significant undertaking, involving packing up tents, supplies, and equipment. In the past, This would have been done with dog sleds or by carrying everything on their backs. Today, ATVs in the summer or snowmobiles in the winter might be used, but the principle remains the same. This seasonal exodus is a return to a more traditional way of life, away from the routines of the village. Life in a seasonal camp is stripped down to its essentials. Shelter is often a sturdy canvas tent, a modern version of the traditional skin dwelling. Days are spent hunting, fishing in the rivers for Arctic char, and gathering the last of the season's berries. The work is hard and constant, but it is also deeply rewarding. Being out on the land, far from any settlement, fosters a profound sense of self-reliance and a heightened awareness of the natural world. It is here, in the quiet solitude of the tundra, that the connection to the environment is at its most intense. These camps are also crucial for the transmission of knowledge. Children who spend time at these camps learn practical survival skills at a very young age. They learn how to set up a tent, how to find dry firewood, how to read the weather, and how to butcher an animal. They learn by watching their parents and elders participating in the daily tasks of survival. This hands-on education is invaluable, instilling a sense of competence and a deep respect for the land and its resources. The seasonal camp is a living classroom, ensuring that the nomadic heartbeat of their ancestors continues to pulse in the next generation. In the extreme cold of the Greenlandic interior, where temperatures can plummet to lethal lows, clothing is not a matter of fashion, but of life and death. The traditional garments developed by the Inuit over thousands of years represent a pinnacle of functional design. This knowledge of how to create and wear the right clothing is a critical component of inland resilience. It is the art of creating a personal microclimate that can protect the body from ferocious winds and deep penetrating cold, whether on a long hunt or during the polar night. The genius of traditional Arctic clothing lies in its layered system and the choice of materials. The primary material was caribou skin, particularly the skin from animals hunted in the autumn when their coats were at their thickest. The hairs of the caribou are hollow, trapping air and creating an incredibly effective layer of insulation. An inner parka was worn with the fur facing inwards against the skin, while an outer parka was worn with the fur facing outwards. This double-layered system trapped a significant amount of warm air, while the natural materials allowed moisture from perspiration to escape, preventing the dangerous buildup of ice within the clothing. Every detail of the garments was perfected for function. You see detailed shot. A traditional Greenlandic parka showing the intricate stitching on the sealskin trim and the thick caribou fur of the main garment. The large fur-lined hood of the parka, known as an amout, was designed not only to protect the face from wind and frostbite, but in women's parkas was made large enough to carry a baby safely and warmly against the mother's back. Trousers were also made of caribou or polar bear hide. The footwear, known as kamiks, were masterpieces of craftsmanship. They consisted of a soft inner stocking made of hare fur and a tough, waterproof outer boot made of sealskin, with the soles often specially designed to grip on snow and ice. While many people today wear modern, factory-made winter gear, the principles of traditional clothing are still highly respected, and many of the garments are still made and worn, especially by hunters who spend long periods out on the land. An elder woman meticulously sewing a pair of kamiks is not just making boots. She is practicing a life-saving art form. She is weaving knowledge, tradition, and love into every stitch. The understanding of how to dress for survival, how to layer, how to ventilate, and the unique properties of animal hides remains an essential piece of cultural wisdom in the ongoing story of inland life. Survival in the harsh inland environment has always depended on having the right tools for the job. Before the introduction of metal from the outside world, the people of the Arctic were masters of invention, crafting a sophisticated and highly effective toolkit from the limited materials their environment provided. bone, antler, ivory from walrus tusks, and stone were the raw materials of their technology. This ingenuity, the ability to see a knife in a piece of flint or a needle in a sliver of bone, is a testament to their deep understanding of the natural world and their remarkable problem-solving skills. These tools were the interface between human hands and the challenges of the Arctic. The ulu, a crescent-shaped knife traditionally used by women, is a perfect example of this ingenuity. With a handle of bone or antler and a blade originally of slate, it is an incredibly versatile tool. Its design allows for great force to be exerted directly over the cutting edge, making it ideal for skinning animals, disjointing carcasses, and preparing food. Men used a different set of knives for hunting and carving. Bows were crafted from driftwood or muskox horn, bowstrings from sinew, and arrowheads from sharpened stone or bone. Every tool was purpose-built, its design refined over countless generations to achieve maximum efficiency. The arrival of Europeans introduced new materials, most notably steel. This new material was quickly and skillfully integrated into the existing toolkit. The slate blade of the ulu was replaced with a piece of sharpened steel, often repurposed from a saw blade, making the tool even more effective. Knife blades, harpoon points, and arrowheads were now made of metal. This was not a replacement of culture, but an adaptation, a continuation of the tradition of using the best available materials to create the most effective tools for survival. Today, a hunter's toolkit is a mixture of the ancient and the modern. He will carry a high-powered rifle with a telescopic sight, but he may also carry a knife with a handle that his grandfather carved from a caribou antler. He will use a GPS to navigate, but he will also rely on his own senses and knowledge of the land. This blend of tools reflects the broader reality of inland life. It is a pragmatic embrace of anything that works, combined with a deep respect for the ingenuity and wisdom of the ancestors. The tools may change, but the hands that wield them and the knowledge of how to use them to live on the land remain constant. For the inland hunter, the ability to read the weather and the land is as crucial as the ability to use a rifle. In a region where a sudden blizzard can create a complete whiteout in minutes and where temperatures can drop precipitously, misinterpreting the signs can have fatal consequences. This knowledge is a science developed through millennia of careful observation and passed down through generations. It is an intimate understanding of the sky, the wind, the snow, and the subtle cues of the landscape. That understanding allows safe travel and early prediction of changes. Reading the weather begins with the sky. The shape, the color, and the movement of the clouds hold a wealth of information. A ring around the sun or a ring around the moon, known as a sundog, might indicate an approaching storm. Cirrus clouds reveal high-altitude wind direction and speed, which later affect the weather on the ground. This is practical meteorology, not folklore. Hunters watch the wind, its direction, its temperature, and how it sculpts snow into sastrugi, which show prevailing wind direction. Reading the land is equally important in winter's blanket of snow. A skilled traveler reads the snow like a book. They can tell the age of snow, its stability for travel, and wind-made textures and formations. Understanding snow matters for avalanche safety and for choosing dog sled or snowmobile routes. Knowledge also covers vegetation and rock, which plants point to water under the snow, and which rocks make better wind shelters. This literacy of land and sky is more critical as climate changes. Old patterns are shifting, and the weather is more unpredictable. Hunters now pair traditional knowledge with satellite phones, with GPS devices and forecasts. But technology can fail, so immediate, local reading remains the most trusted skill. It's living knowledge constantly updated with new observations. Reading the breath of winter is a core pillar of inland resilience. In communities without a long history of written language, knowledge is a living thing, passed from one mind to another through the spoken word. The elders are the most precious resource of the inland settlements, the respected keepers of the community's library. They are historians, genealogists, scientists, and philosophers. Their minds hold the accumulated wisdom of generations, hunting techniques, spiritual beliefs, family histories, and great myths and legends. The power of this oral tradition is the glue that holds the culture together, especially during the long, dark winters. The long polar night is the traditional season for storytelling. With outdoor work curtailed, families and neighbors gather in the warmth of their homes. It is here that the elders share their knowledge. They might recount a famous hunt from their youth, embedding practical lessons about animal behavior and survival. They might tell the ancient stories of the creation of the sea, the sun, the moon, or the epic journeys of cultural heroes. These stories are not just entertainment. They are a curriculum teaching morality, history, and the community's core values. This oral tradition is also intensely practical. An elder might explain the exact location of a good fishing spot by describing a series of landmarks in meticulous detail. They might teach a younger person how to navigate through a difficult pass by recounting a journey they took decades earlier. This knowledge, stored in memory and conveyed through speech, is a map of the land and a guide to its use. The accuracy of this transmission is vital, and young people are taught from an early age to listen carefully and to remember what they are told, for one day they too will become the keepers of this knowledge. In the modern world, television, the internet, and other media offer competing narratives, but there is a concerted effort to ensure that the voices of the elders are not lost. Schools are inviting elders to share stories with children. Cultural programs are recording oral histories. The community understands that when an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. Preserving and honoring this oral tradition is essential to maintain their unique cultural identity and to pass on the survival knowledge that has allowed them to thrive in the heart of the Greenlandic inland for centuries. In the small, isolated hamlets of the interior, the concept of community is not an abstract ideal. It is a fundamental architecture for survival. The intense challenges of the environment make individual self-sufficiency impossible. The entire community operates as a single, interdependent unit, bound together by a system of shared labor, mutual support, and informal exchange. This social structure is as vital to survival as a warm parka or a sharp knife. It is a collective agreement that the well-being of the group is paramount and that the strength of the community is the ultimate guarantee of the survival of each individual within it. Shared labor is a cornerstone of this architecture. When a large animal, like a caribou or muskox, is successfully hunted, the task of butchering and processing the carcass is often a communal effort. Several families will come together to help, and in return they will receive a share of the meat. This system is efficient, ensuring that the meat is processed quickly before it can spoil, and it is also equitable, distributing a vital resource throughout the community. Similarly, major tasks like building a new cabin or repairing a community structure are often undertaken by a group of volunteers working together for the common good. Barter, or informal exchange, remains an important part of the local economy, operating alongside the modern cash-based system. A skilled seamstress might trade a newly sewn pair of kamiks for a supply of dried caribou meat from a successful hunter. A person who is good at repairing snowmobile engines might fix a neighbor's machine in exchange for some fresh Arctic char. This system is not based on precise monetary calculations, but on a flexible and long-term understanding of mutual obligation and reciprocity. It strengthens social bonds and ensures that skills and resources are distributed efficiently throughout the community. This system of mutual support is most evident in times of crisis. If a family's primary hunter becomes sick or injured, other hunters in the community will make it a priority to provide them with meat. If a house is damaged in a storm, neighbors will immediately rally to help with repairs. This is not seen as charity, but as a fundamental responsibility. It is an unwritten social contract, an understanding that everyone will face hardship at some point, and that the community's role is to provide a safety net. This powerful architecture of community is the true source of inland resilience, a social technology perfected for life in a demanding world. As our journey comes to a close, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The past and the future, the culture of the ice, forged over 4 millennia, faces a convergence of powerful forces. A rapidly warming climate erodes the foundations of traditional life. The globalized digital world reshapes aspirations and social dynamics. National politics and international politics. The future is far from certain. The path forward will not be a return to the past. Old ways remain a vital cultural anchor and wellspring of wisdom, but they alone are not enough. The snowmobile, the internet, and the mixed economy are evidence of a vibrant and ongoing process of adaptation. The future will be a hybrid, old and new. GPS guides hunters to ancestral hunting grounds described in ancestral stories, and a university education manages wildlife for the community. The greatest hope is the youth. They are fluent in the language of the ice and the language of the internet. They can bridge the two worlds. Their challenge is immense: to forge a model that is economically viable, environmentally sustainable, and culturally authentic. Success depends on innovating while respecting tradition, embracing change while holding identity, and creating local opportunities that compete with the wider world. This question extends far beyond Greenland. Arctic melting is global in cause and consequence. The Inuit struggle is a human story that should concern us all. It shows the local impacts of global actions and reminds us to listen to those closest to the land. The story of Arctic Greenland is a mirror reflecting the consequences of our global lifestyle. It calls on us to consider the real-world human cost of a warming planet and to act with the urgency this crisis demands. The resilience of the Inuit is an inspiration, but it cannot be an excuse for our inaction. Their world is on the brink, and their quiet plea carried on the Arctic wind is for the rest of the world to listen and to change course before the ice and the culture it supports is lost forever. Our expedition through Greenland's remote Arctic settlements comes to a close, leaving us with a profound sense of respect for the human spirit's capacity to thrive. We have journeyed from the ice-choked fjords of the coast to the vast, silent tundra of the interior, and finally into the complex modern reality of a culture in transition. Throughout this journey, one truth has remained constant. The people of the Arctic persist not through brute force, but through an elegant and powerful synthesis of ancient knowledge and inventive adaptation. Their survival is a testament to a deep, lived intelligence honed over 4,000 years in one of the world's most demanding environments. We have witnessed how hunters blend the wisdom of their ancestors with the tools of the 21st century, using a GPS to navigate to fishing spots their grandfathers found by reading the shape of the mountains. We saw how the fundamental principles of the traditional kajak, stealth and efficiency, live on in the design and use of modern motorboats. This is not a culture being erased by modernity, but one that is actively and selectively incorporating new elements into its enduring framework. The snowmobile does not replace the knowledge of how to read the snow. It simply provides a new way to travel across it. This genius for synthesis is the core of their resilience, allowing them to adapt without surrendering their identity. This spirit is most evident in the communal bonds that form the bedrock of their society. The ancient custom of sharing the catch from a hunt, ensuring the entire community benefits from one person's success, remains a powerful social adhesive. It is a practice that has been adapted to the modern mixed economy, where a wage earner might share their cash income just as a hunter shares their meat. This commitment to the collective good, this understanding that the individual's strength is derived from the community's strength, is perhaps the most critical piece of knowledge they possess. It is the architecture of their society, a social technology perfected for survival against the odds. Ultimately, the story of Greenland's remote settlements is not one of mere survival, but of a vibrant and meaningful existence. It is a story of warm lives lived in a cold climate, of rich cultural traditions flourishing in isolation, and of a deep joy found in family, community, and a profound connection to the natural world. The enduring spirit of the Greenlandic people is a powerful lesson in resilience, demonstrating how a culture can face profound change, not by resisting it, but by intelligently and gracefully weaving it into the fabric of its own timeless story, creating a pattern that is both new and ancient at the same time. As we conclude our expedition, the image that remains is one of profound and enduring continuity. It is the image of a community gathered in a warm home, sharing stories and laughter as the polar night holds the world in its dark embrace. It is the quiet determination in a hunter's eyes as he scans the horizon for a sign of life. And it is the hopeful, brilliant spectacle of the sun returning after months of absence, casting its first golden rays across a landscape of ice and snow, promising renewal and the continuation of the cycle of life. This rhythm of darkness and light, of challenge and renewal, is the very essence of the Greenlandic spirit. The people of the high Arctic have always lived in a world of extremes, and their culture is built upon the knowledge that even the longest, darkest night is eventually followed by the sun's return. This deep, cyclical understanding of the world fosters a unique kind of hope, not a naive optimism, but a patient, resilient faith in the turning of the seasons and in their own ability to endure until the light comes back. It is this spirit that has seen them through millennia of hardship, and that gives them the strength to face the unprecedented challenges of today. They are the guardians of a legacy of continuity. This legacy is not static. It is a living, breathing thing that is passed from one generation to the next. It is carried in the stories of the elders, in the skills taught to the children, and in the shared values that bind the community together. The future of this legacy now rests with a generation of young people who are navigating a more complex world than their ancestors could have ever imagined. They are equipped with new tools and new knowledge, but they are also anchored by a strong sense of who they are and where they come from. Their ability to weave these different threads together will determine the future of their culture. Our journey ends, but their story continues. We leave with a deep sense of respect for a people who have mastered the art of living in a world of cold awe and warm lives. Their existence is a powerful testament to human ingenuity, the strength of community, and the unbreakable bond between a people and their land. As we depart from this world sculpted by ice, we are left not with a sense of an ending, but of a cycle continuing. The long night may be upon them in many ways, but the spirit of the people of Greenland holds the unwavering promise of the returning sun. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and comment your favorite spot. It helps this Arctic series reach more explorers. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment your favorite spot.